Hello, and welcome to another episode of Power On Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Taylor. Hi. And with me, as always, is my cohort in action. Yeah. Sushi B, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Taylor. What's up?
Nothing much. I'm doing good. A little
Good to hear.
little sleepy, but that's all right.
I'm feeling a little drowsy myself, but as usual, I think we have a very exciting topic today, and why don't we introduce our third arm, if you will.
Third.
The third eye.
He's not a third leg.
Yeah.
Hey.
We give the third eye. The third eye.
The all-seeing third eye. Greg, how you doing?
You just have to know where that third eye is.
Aw.
Oh.
Aw.
So it doesn't really matter if it's a third leg or eye at this point.
Goodness.
The third orifice.
Ah.
We're not being subtle anymore.
No,
Oh, well.
we're not. We're getting right into this.
Get down and dirty. It's trying to keep...
Anyway,
How you doing,
I'm
Greg?
doing good. I'm doing swell, actually. A lot of big changes in my life coming soon, and finally caught a break. So I'm really excited.
Yay.
Nice.
That's good to hear. Always good to hear when things finally start going in a good direction there.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah, so, kind of getting back into the swing of things here. Yeah, this episode is, how to put this? It's about buildings in games.
Yeah.
It's just come out and say it.
Structures.
I was going to go structures as well.
Structures, buildings, yeah. This is, I would say, probably something that it feels like it gets glossed over. When it comes to any sort of discussion about games, it doesn't seem like it comes up at all. You might have like, oh, that's a freaky castle, and then that's about it. So. And that, yeah. So, but I figured this would be a good one to kind of go over, just because I said it would be a good one to go over. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts
that's different.
on
That's
building?
for sure.
Yeah, it's something different because like when you think of games, usually you kind of break it down to like either cities or countries or something like that. But to kind of get specific here, it's a little more like, oh yeah, I guess now that I think about it.
Yeah, when you think of like concept art and stuff, you don't really sort of take specifics, right? You just look at the overall landscape of something. So this should be interesting.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's hard to distinguish the single structure from the rest of the landscape, but hopefully we'll have the many lists here of those rare exceptions where it did stand out. So.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully. So, yeah, I guess I'll lead us off then.
Sure, go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay, well, I don't know how much of a heavy hitter this one is here. I personally am not a big fan of this game. It wasn't terrible, but I was kind of meh with it. And that is the 13 Towers from Pandora's Tower.
Ah, yes.
Now, it's most of the game takes place in this kind of conglomeration of towers. It's not. It's sort of a castle, but it's more so fixated on these towers, and it's in this chasm, and it's connected by these really thick chains to the cliffside, and it's almost a very stereotypical kind of like a game or anime, like super castle kind of thing, but I like the design of it. I like the artwork that goes into it. It gives me that what's the word? It feels kind of antiquated because of how it looks, kind of thing, and it's a very ominous kind of really bad shit goes on here, yo, kind of thing.
Right.
I see it. So,
Isn't the name the Scar or something? Or...
I thought that was that chasm was the skull.
Right, the Scar is in the center or something.
Maybe I just thought it was called the
forget.
13 Towers. Like I didn't. There was like a really specific name for it.
Mm.
I don't know. Like it was kind of like the towers themselves are color coded to an extent, and that in a way feels a little silly. But I don't know. It's one of those kind of like this is just from the outlook for like looking at it from the outside. It looks pretty intimidating and pretty nifty too. I thought so.
Yeah, I think so. The only thing is, it's just too bad. The game's a bit demoralizing after a while, just because it feels pretty repetitive. Even you go to different towers, and at one point you finally get to choose a set of different towers you want to go to instead of just following the order that the game is pushing you through.
Mm.
But that's sort of the time where I stopped playing. I was just kind of getting to this point of, okay, yes, I am doing some different things, but I'm not really learning new skills or anything. I'm just finding new contraptions and ways to move between the towers kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is unfortunate. Maybe they could have reduced it to 6 towers or something and might have been a little bit better. It just feels the game's a bit too long.
I don't know if I think it's because of the mechanics of the game more
Mm.
so than like if it was a little more swift and not as clunky as it feels. I don't think it would have been an issue.
Yeah.
But because it's so damn clunky and because your shit breaks all the time,
Right.
it falls a little flat in that. But
Stuff blends into it, like into the background and stuff a little too easily sometimes as well. Like some enemies are really hard to see. The color codes of things look very similar, so sometimes you have to actually see movement before you can actually tell that something is there,
like
which I kind of didn't like too. Even like the main character, like his armor and stuff is very similar colored to the floor and things, and it's like they could have done something. They could have given him a giant red cape or something so he could really kind of stand out.
it's like the Predator. You gotta watch movements.
Right. Jean-Claude's Predator. Who got fired after like what 10 days or something? Something like
Embarrassing, I'd imagine.
quite embarrassing. I'm sure he was hepped up on coke, so I'm sure that's why he got fired.
But this is about the buildings, damn it, not necessarily.
Not about Van Damme.
Not about Van
That
Damme.
was a previous show a long time ago.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was kind of I got a very cool vibe from it, and because you spend most of your time in there, even though it is a bit repetitive and it's, I liked it. I liked it. The building.
Mhm.
I thought it was nifty. So, because Sushi likes to be mean, I'm passing it over to Greg.
Cool.
I don't dislike the game.
I'm messing. But yeah, I'll pass it over to you, Greg.
Oh, I'm sure it's great sitting on Greg's pedestal of wonderful games, right, Greg?
I don't think he played more than an hour of it.
Okay, so that's even less than me then.
I have
I at least put in like 10.
I was one of the biggest, messengers of Operation Rainfall, and I haven't gone myself to go back to Pandora's Tower. So yeah,
Most people.
that's why I did not chime in on that conversation.
Fair enough.
It's hard to believe that game actually came out this year too for North America. Like it's still a 2013 release.
Really? Wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, what, March or something? Or?
So it might go down as the last Wii game.
It probably, well, at least the last significant game, right? Like of note that people will somewhat remember, I suppose.
Amongst
sure
the shovelware.
Well, I'm sure there's still a few, yeah, like, boxing for the Wii and just like kind of nameless games still coming out. But anyways.
Alrighty. My building is actually a building, and it is the most centralized and most noticeable building in what is my most favorite fictional Japanese district based on a real
Well, I know
Japanese
what this
district.
is.
And it is the Millennium Tower
Of course
in
it is.
Kamurocho with the Yakuza series. At first glance, it may just look like an average building, but just where it's placed, the overall design, the interior, and just so many memorable scenes throughout the series takes place at the Millennium Tower. It
Mhm.
had to be on my list, and
Yeah.
there's just so many climatic battles that happen at the top floor, close to the top floor. It's hard not to have this on my list, and probably one of the most memorable buildings in any video game series.
I agree. I had it as well, Greg. But especially in the first game, right? Like, I kind of forgot because I haven't played the second and third one in a while. There's sort of like tower fights and those ones at the end of the game as well. I kind of thought it was the Millennium Tower, but it's not. It's actually other places.
Yeah, two sort of stays away from that, but sort
right.
of 3 brings it back, and most definitely 4.
Okay. Well, I haven't played 4, so I don't know.
Yeah, you'll appreciate what happens in 4. It's really good.
Neat.
But yeah, and of course that all famous scene where all the money keeps piling down, which has become one of the most memorable bits in the entire series. And who doesn't like free money? Actually, that scene actually leads to one of the best characters in 4. Won't give too much away, but yeah, you'll appreciate it. But yeah, that's one of my favorite towers.
Right.
Or buildings.
Cool.
Things.
Things.
Things
Place
that
to dwell.
Put roofs over your head.
Yeah.
Shelters. You should have just called the shelters. You could have talked about all the Final Fantasy 1 shelters.
And tents and houses.
Tents, houses, and shelters. I like how you can just construct a house like instantly.
Just,
full health, full MP.
Things are expensive as fuck too early on.
That's why I gotta go shelters.
You gotta go tents. Poor man's house there. Get a piddly little bit of...
Those are probably single-person tents, and you're probably trying to fit a party of 4 in there.
Trying to stave off wolves and monsters.
That classic Simpsons line of Barney, "Hey, who's touching me?" "I am." "Well, all right, then."
Oh, man.
Right. It's over to you, Sushi.
All right. Mine's a bit of a cheat, and this is a double dip of beat 'em ups, and that is the Stage 1 building in Double Dragon 2, and also the Stage 7 building from Streets of Rage, the first game as well. I like the building in Double Dragon 2 just because it's awesome, kicking and kneeing people off. The building itself doesn't really function as anything aside from just being part of the level progression, right? Of kind of seeing the scale of climbing up the building and kicking people off it and things like that. But I love kneeing obviously the guy with the helmet is quite fun. I also like getting those, Taylor and I have kind of discussed this a long time ago in the past, those guys with the big shoulder pads, Taylor, you know what I'm talking about, the red hair, right. The green haired the green pant goofball guys. Yeah. You know how they climb down that ladder, like right near the end, and you can just knee them. Right. And there's like this small gap of screen that's there, so they just disappear like instantly, basically, if you hit them. So I like that building a lot, and it's just kind of a cool setup to just show you how the game is gonna be like not quite 3D, but sort of the moving in between the planes sort of thing, which I really like. And then in Streets of Rage, you get the Stage 7, you get the elevator going up the building, which is really cool.
This is so weird. It's not that we have the same on our list, but it comes from different games. You mentioned from number 1, I actually have Mr. X's office from Streets of Rage 2 on my list, which is pretty much nearly the same. So...
I hate the inside of the building of Streets of Rage 1, though. That part is brutally hard. I hate that part. But I like going up the elevator because the car can still come, the police car can bomb. You can be at like the top floor, and then that car's nowhere even near it, and it just goes boom, and then the flame drops out. It's so awesome. And plus, Stage 7's got really good music. So.
Yeah, I like with Mr. X's office, one of the best elevators ever, just because it just keeps going up, and instead of like doors opening, it just becomes a part of the carpet on the top floor. It's like dunk, like it's like that is cool, and you're right in front of Mr. X, and just pretty convenient way to get to the final battle.
Sure. Nice. So yeah, those are the two I kind of put together there. So back to you there, Taylor.
Okay, this next one that I have here is awfully iconic. And that is the mansion from Resident Evil. This son of a bitch was kind of propped up as almost, in a way, it almost has a life of its own. kind of thing, and it really added to that horror vibe when you first kind of played it. Sans the stupid voice acting and the really really shitty opening and the what the hell that video thing. Oh god.
Jill is a master at opening locks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Barry.
The mansion was probably the smartest character in the game.
That's probably the truth, except for maybe the plants.
Yeah, plants are pretty smart too there. Maybe the crows.
Maybe the crows.
Everybody else is pretty brain dead. But I don't know. Like, sure, it's very antiquated. It's very dated with how you open the door and it has that.
Yeah,
but
I don't mind that. Maybe for the loading screen.
Yeah, it's a clever way to mask the loading screen. It's a good way to mask it. And like Silent Hill had the mist kind of thing. So okay, cool. The controls are funky, sure, whatever. But this mansion is creepy. It's still creepy. You play the like that souped up GameCube or the Wii version.
Cool,
yeah,
really, really, just wonderful job with it. And it's just, what is it? Pre-rendered background? Is that what that?
Yes.
Yeah. I really like those kind of graphics, and for the mansion, it works.
Right. There's some creepy parts in that, just like the rooms, like certain parts. You know that one room that's got that statue that's holding the water jug?
Oh.
You see it from the back when there's the lighting. That's a pretty creepy room. That's near the plants. And then just that one part where you're going up the stairs with all the paintings. And I think there's one zombie there or something. I don't remember really well. I haven't really played the first one, really long time. But that image... And one of the reasons where that image is burned into my mind is when they were making that Game Boy Color version of the game before they canned it, and that was one of the screenshots of that, and it looked really good. But I presume that it was probably nearly impossible to put that game on the Game Boy Color. But
here's 5 cartridges of Resident Evil on the Game
Please
Boy
insert cartridge. Just like the old floppy disk days, the 5.1.
Yeah. There you go. But yeah, it's just it makes the game. It really does. It's being in the mansion. It gives us gives it that spooky mansion vibe kind of thing. The abandoned house or something. And it's just it's really well set up. Sure, you wish you could just kick these fucking doors down at times. I mean, seriously, just shoot the handles if need be. I know there's not that much ammunition, but Jesus Christ.
Well, Chris is all juiced up now. If you sent him back in there, he would just fly through the building.
I guess that's true. Before Chris took
Chris
all
had no
the...
muscles. He couldn't even open a lock.
Right. So after his experiences in the first one and what's
The fifth one.
Yeah, the fifth one there. Well, before the fifth one, he decided to juice up and really hit that training gym.
Maybe he was hanging out with Dogi and he tried to become the wall crusher, right? The door crusher.
Door crusher.
Door smasher.
So, but yeah.
He uses his hand like an axe, like in The Shining. Chopping through the door.
No, Dogi and Chris were training and Dogi was shouting slogans at him.
But yeah, no, that mansion is just really, really cool. And you really, when you think of Resident Evil, that's what kind of comes to mind. Especially if you're if you've played the older ones, that's like, holy shit, the mansion, blah. Yeah. Enter the survivor horror.
They really did a good job of sort of stealing the original Night of the Living Dead concept of like being in the house and like zombies around the house and stuff and stuff like that. And, the first time I played that game, I actually didn't know that you had to stay in the house because my friend was just like, hey, try this game. And I was like, okay. And so I went to open the front door and I wasn't scared by it. But I was just like, what the hell? It's like, you can't go outside? And he's like, no, you got to stay in the house. I'm like, well, this game's dumb. You can't go. You can't just leave. Like there's all these zombies inside and you can't just walk out and leave. It's like, okay, I guess. But maybe you might get frightened like the first time. Now you won't because the graphics are ridiculously bad. But that dog's head that like comes out when you open the door.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, like tries to gnaw at you and you close the door. But Yeah, as you said, Taylor, I think the loading screens actually really helped with the tension a lot
Yeah.
too, right? If you were playing that game for the first time in, what is it, 96 when it came out?
95, 96.
Okay. So yeah, like it really helps the tension because you're really not sure what's in the next room. And sometimes there's nothing. Sometimes the music suddenly changes and there's like 5 zombies there. And this is when when zombies seem to take random numbers of bullets before they would die, right? Like they wouldn't take like just 3 bullets and die. You could sometimes shoot them 15 times and they would still keep moving. So it really had the intensity down really well.
Clunky controls kind of help that too.
No, too. Come on, trying to back up, and he's just doing like the 360 spin.
That son of a bitch! Oh God!
Crows are just picking at your eyes, and you can do nothing.
Yeah. Oh,
please enter the gem. I am trying to enter the gem. The gem won't fit. Some of the puzzles were kind of shoddy too. So
yeah, some of them are, but
I presume the GameCube one kind of tightened all that up. I guess.
I'm trying to
maybe the Wii one. I'm not sure.
Trying to remember what they controls they're tightened, but I mean they're still that weird kind of
move forward action.
Right. Yeah, they're still like that, but.
But the setting looks better.
Yeah, it looks better. I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time since I played the GameCube one, but yeah,
I wonder if Capcom will make a new one, like just make another like version of it, like revamped graphics, like within next 10 years or something. Just do that again.
That's Capcom.
So, let's give it to Greg on that note.
Yeah,
it's Capcom.
Greg, over to you.
Yeah. Alrighty. This will probably go down as a no-brainer. Probably one of the most iconic buildings in video gaming, and that's the Shinra building from Final Fantasy VII. I had this on the list not just because it's popular. It's because I have great memories of infiltrating the Shinra building back in '97 when I got the game. And it just stand out as one of the best parts of the game. I think even when you load up the game, that intro, and you see the Shinra building in the center of Midgard, and when you're actually about to infiltrate and you're climbing up the wall and all that graffiti leading to this grand building with the searchlights going everywhere and all the helicopters going around, it's so memorable. And I've played that game so many times that I've done both ways to infiltrate the building. I've gone through the stairs, which is, if anyone's done it that way, will know how much of a repetitive, tedious task it is.
Yes, it is.
And then I found out that you can go through the front door, smash, which was also fun. I like the structure of the building. I like the different levels have different things like, the museum, which played a big part later on when you had to leave. Crawling in the air ducts, listening to the, basically the meeting, which is so cool, and then going to the scientific block, the prison cell, and then going to the top floor. It was such a memorable part of the game, out of a lot of games. Just so good. And I know a lot of listeners who played Final Fantasy VII would probably agree. So, yeah. Shinra Tower.
Yeah, the second time you kind of visit that area, can't you go up the stairs again and find that like materia or something, and you find something that's really useless, and you're just like, I went all of this way because you have to go back down because you can't. I don't know. That's a pretty interesting thing, especially like when you first playing it. You're like, damn, I'm already here. What else is going to happen? And then the whole world opens up, and you're like, oh. Not everything is miserable city slums.
No. I think one of the first times I wasn't as miserable climbing the stairs because I thought to myself in the back of my little mind, it's like, wow, this is like one of the biggest towers I've ever played in a video game. I wonder what floor I'm going to end up on. And just like, a little bit's like, wow, this is going on way longer. I think I'm going to end up in the heavens. No.
The escalator that goes to nowhere.
Yeah. It climbs to the meteor. Hello, meteor. Goodness. And with that note, I shall give it to Sushi.
All right. Actually, Greg, when you were saying just with that build-up, I actually thought you were going to say my next one, and that is, of course, Dracula's Castle from the Castlevania franchise. I was pretty sure you might bring that one up very early on. Dracula's Castle seems to take a lot of very random and different forms with each game for some reason.
It's convenient game design for them, but also gives a tangible plot device for hardcore fans. So like the castle's the real villain. It's ever changing. You know,
It says it in the fucking title. It doesn't say Akuma Joe. That's the Devil Castle. God damn it. So,
but one game will have a clock tower, one game will have a garden, one game will have. It's neat. It's neat to sort of see what they can come up with next. They might be kind of running out of things to sort of put in, but still it's cool. It's a really. Fun times with Castlevania, except for the controller throwing, but
the rage.
Well, but it's so iconic, though, right? You're talking about the Castlevania castle. There's probably not many other castles you can honestly say that are more iconic than that.
Sadly, though, they kind of throw that out with Lords of Shadows. They don't usually bring up. I don't know what's happening
with them. I think Order of Ecclesia doesn't really use the castle as well, if I remember.
They do. I can't remember which, because a lot of games always has one character mentioning it's an ever-changing beast, and I have to go back and play Order of Ecclesia because it's.
I thought most of that was outside of the castle, if not all of it. I thought.
Yeah, I do think they make mention. I don't know if they do make mention that it's an ever-changing beast, but Order of Ecclesia is just an odd duck to begin with, so it's a good game.
Yeah, but the Castlevania Castle, I mean, good memories in a lot of ways. I've always liked, from what I remember reading, they always tried to put certain things in the castle, like, let's say if this game was set at a certain time, they would not put the clock tower in it just because they'd be like, well, clocks weren't invented yet or whatnot. Yeah. And it's like, oh, that's actually clever of them to do that instead of just being like, well, we can do whatever we want. They do seem to at least try to take some historical things into consideration. Not, we're still talking about a video game, but and the whole timeline is all weird anyways with Castlevania, but
it is. There's so many different great beginnings. I personally love Lament of Innocence as the beginning of the timeline. How Leon Belmont came from the Crusades. He was actually originally a Crusader. That castle. I'm going to be honest. It's one of the first. It was the first 3D Castlevania game I ever played, and no, this is actually technically connected with buildings, so I won't stay off the topic. But actually entering the castle for the first time when I'm walking across the drawbridge, I thought to myself, that's actually some insanely good graphics for a PlayStation 2 game. Just the way they designed the battlements, and it's just like, wow, this actually looks like a realistic castle. And I do recall that Igarashi did actually go to Wachhalia and did visit Vlad the Impaler's palace to get inspiration for the games. And
did he stay the night?
It's a terrible. I don't know where I was going to go with that.
I don't think you can.
Because terrible night to make a game. No, it's pretty good.
So he didn't go to Bora Bora and get inspiration or something like like a tiki hut and like, yeah, this would make for a great castle. We're waiting for the beach. We're waiting for the beach scene in the next Castlevania game.
Let's just say he didn't go to medieval times for his inspiration.
Sure, Dracula doesn't like the beach that much. But you can imagine like zombie sharks and stuff like flying at you, and we sort of have that kind of thing with the fish mermen and things like that. But
oh god,
I don't mind. Never gets that bad. Hopefully, do they have a wine cellar in any of them? I don't recall.
Circle of the Moon? I don't know. I don't think so, because Circle of the Moon was one of the more known for the underground areas.
Mm-hmm.
And with
had
Symphony
cellars,
of the Night,
but I don't know if there's wine cellars particularly.
No, not wine cellars, because I know with Symphony of the Night it was more caverns and ancient shrines.
Catacombs.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. That would be one maybe they could throw in wine cellar.
No, that would be cool.
Endless pit. Bottomless pit.
Wouldn't that be just a shitty game design? It's like, it's not even a game over screen. It's, ah,
That would
ah.
be that would be like the ultimate if they were thinking of remaking, say, the first Castlevania game, and they're like, we're gonna put this game, it's gonna be awesome, it's gonna be a downloadable title, and when you die, there's actually like an endless pit because you're so used to like falling in pits in the original game, but they actually just this time make an endless pit that never ends, and the game freezes, and you actually have to reboot the game if you fall in the pit.
Yeah.
We did it for the fans. All right. So anyways, Castlevania's Dracula's Castle. So, Taylor, what do you got next, buddy?
Okay, I have the Fortress of Doom from the Lufia series.
Oh, very good
And
choice.
the thing that's kind of interesting about it is that a lot of RPGs, especially from the kind of like the Super Nintendo, Genesis, Mega Drive generation, and before and after, have a lot of stupid, really long final dungeons. We're talking dumb. Let's make this 5 fucking hours of a 30-hour game dumb kind of thing. And I don't like that. I really do not like it. It feels it's just it feels too much to me. It's just you're trying to stretch out a game. Stop. Just stop it. Stop it. But they do it really, really well with the Lufia series, and this thing is not some sort of sprawling, just way too big for itself. There's only a few of these motherfuckers that live anyways. So they just have this nice little quaint cat fortress that floats in the sky and it's integral to I can't really speak for Ruins of Lore, but but for the other
Don't
one
even
can.
speak of Ruins of Lore.
No one can.
That's the best.
But for Lufia 1, Lufia 2, well, the Fortress of Doom, Rise of the Sinistrals, and Legend Returns, this thing there's always something that's going on that this is the Fortress of Doom's involved in, even in the Legend Returns, which is 100 years after Fortress of Doom and stuff. So
I mean, people ask, how symbolic is it? Psst, it's on the Japanese cover. Too.
yeah, even
it's on the cover of the first game,
Yeah.
it's in the title of the first game.
Yeah, it gets premier billing there. It's the title.
Right.
But
That is true.
um,
But my Australian copy had a pink cover with
Pink?
Maxim. Yeah, pink.
Really?
for the
I'm-
first, for the second one.
No. I don't think we ever got Fortress Doom, but yeah, this Rise of the Sinistrals. That was like one of the last games on the Super Nintendo in Australia. It was actually the second last game. I think the last game was Harvest Moon.
No.
So,
Yeah, Harvest Moon was definitely a late one in North America as well. So.
but yeah, the cover was pink, and it's just like having this pink game.
I presume it must go for some mad bank then as well if it's one of the last games.
It's not even. It doesn't even show up that often, and I haven't found it in the while. So yeah.
Huh.
But,
Pink.
and what I was going on with that period about it being long, like for this game, the Fortress of Doom is not stupidly long. It's actually pretty condensed, and it's like, hey, you get there, sup mofos, we are here to rock your faces. Let's get this party on.
Right.
The music's really wonderful. It's not like an amazing, like the reason why I chose it wasn't more so for how it looked or anything, but just because it's so integral to the series, and there's just a lot of things that go down. Like for Lufia 2, the ending that it takes place that's going on like after the final boss, just superb. And it all has to do with the Fortress of Doom and everything. And that's...
In my opinion, I can understand why it's your favorite type of dungeon, because to me, they took the best parts of Lufia 2 and put them all in the one dungeon. All the best fights in the game. It's like you get to do it again, and it's like, sweet, because I loved doing it before, you know.
Well, yeah, they have that. It's just like it's what it does is that you have this climb. Like the reason why, little tangent, final dungeons, it kills a bit of the climactic feeling when you stretch it out for so damn long. It's irritating that you have a game that's 30 to 40 hours long, but the final dungeon itself is 5 to 6 hours. That's stupid.
It depends how much content is stretched out. The more it's stretched thin, the more you question it. But if you got a decent long dungeon that has a decent amount of content with cutscenes and chest searches that are worth it, then it can be done really well. But
I don't know. It's just if for the pacing of the story, you're having this climactic kind of you're at the final dungeon here, and you're just wandering around in a castle. Feels kind of annoying. Just really annoying. Really annoying.
So Taylor's probably given the stink eye to all of Phantasy Star 2.
Yeah.
Pretty much every dungeon is way longer than they needed to.
Yeah.
Those friggin' towers on Desorius. Oh my god.
I didn't like the underwater. What's that? Mechanical center or whatever. I hated that one. Even it's just like
yeah.
so
I
long.
mean, they're all long. Phantasy Star 2 has the most long-winded maze-like dungeons in any RPG, but what made those towers even worse is the enemies that was in that tower. God help you, man.
Bye, Greg. Bye, Greg.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the Fortress of Doom is really, really cool one. So, next over to you there, Greg.
Alrighty, this is, Taylor's not going to be shocked or horrid by this. Probably the most, known structure in the East series. That's Darm Tower.
Right.
It's just so... Because I've played so many different versions of East, it is the most used structure in the entire series, depending on which branch of the East series you are playing. Because there's different canons, and if you're playing the PC Engine canon, it's for the exception of Wanderers, it appears in every game. Well, not to, but technically it doesn't, but you know what I mean. I actually like how they brought it back in Dawn of East. And of course, if all of you cats downloaded East Origin from Steam, that is Darm Tower before it was called Darm Tower. So, I mean, the game takes place in it, so, and they even make mention of it in 6, so it's always in the back of your mind. And I think for me what made it the most memorable is even back when I played the game when I was a kid, I forgot so much of the game, but for some odd reason I would always remember Darm Tower. Partly because of the music, because of the maze-like structure, mainly because of Devil's Corridor, because that was the first time I ever played a game and suddenly died for no reason.
Oh, there's a reason.
Yeah, and it's like, well, when you're 5, you don't know that the room is filled with poison or miasma, and you certainly don't know to go, okay, this is a little tip to anyone who wants to play East. There's a pillar you have to go and you have to smash with a hammer. When I was 5, good luck trying to figure that out. But luckily I had an older brother who did. So it's like, oh, sweet. But I figured that out all again when I played the PC Engine version. And it's the fact that the tower's full of these little different puzzles you have to figure out. The mirror room, which does make a lot of people angry. But I've actually played it so many times I kind of got the pattern down pat. It's just like, I go here, ding.
That one trick was like, walk in, walk right back in that same mirror.
Yeah, that was the catch. And there's just so many different parts. And of course the top of Darm Tower and East 1, of course, is truly memorable. But yeah.
It's got a great silhouette. I like the sort of branch off to where the small dungeon is.
Yeah,
that's a really cool look to it.
I really like how they do that in Chronicles. It's not too badly done in the PC Engine version. It's pretty standard, but I love how it's done in Chronicles, and I especially like how it's done in Origin.
Oh, yeah. Goodness.
So yeah.
I'm kind of happy that they've divorced that slightly with some of the newer East games, just because...
I'm of two minds about it. I'm kind of... I didn't mind not going back there, but I wish there was some memories. That's all I wanted. Even if it took like a second, That's what I liked about E6, that they were able just, even in one line, just old school players, you meet up with someone who was in downtown and it's just like, oh, you have that wave of nostalgia that hits back at you. And that's kind of what I like about East in general. I just wish they kind of focus just one or two lines just so it gives the fans like, oh, yes, I've been there. Yeah.
Well, just wait.
Yeah, that's all I can say. Anyway, let's not turn us into another East discussion like I usually do. Let's go over to Sushi.
All right. Well, my next one is a bit of a cheat again. Hopefully not too much of a cheat, but this one is actually not at all in the game. It's only featured in the introduction of the game. And I am referring to the intro to Mega Man 2. And the amazing intro we get of that building and scrolling up and it telling you the story of what's going on. And then the way the music is building up and it's getting louder and louder. And then it's just like, boo, and it just like hits you. It's such a cool intro. I mean, yeah, the building is not even at all in the game, but it adds so much to the intro and it gets you really pumped up for the next Mega Man game. I love that intro. I think it looks really cool. It's cool to see the change in the background too, where the lights, it's a little blue and purpley, and then it starts to get to the dark shade of black by the time it gets to the top. So I don't know how you guys feel about that intro, but
yeah, it
gets me pretty pumped up.
It's a classic, and I'm talking about me being fairly new to Mega Man, and when I got to number 2, I was just like, hey, this is pretty cool. And I could try to put myself into the mindset of how old I would have been when that game was released. Actually would have been, what was it, 87, 88 for Mega Man 2?
You had to ask. 88 maybe?
Yeah, well, actually I couldn't because I would have been 3 years old, so I probably would have just, I don't know, played with my blocks or something.
Drooled on something, or just kind of
drooled during the intro. Oh,
so amazing!
This is so amazing.
I'll connect it to something more
Etched
tangible.
into your memory.
Tangible. If it was the version on the Wily Wars, then I would probably be like, "Whoa!" Actually, did that actually happen in the Wily Wars? I can't remember.
I don't know. The Wily Wars didn't come out for us, so and I missed a chance. I tried to buy that game for years, and I've just never been able to get it. So, but.
Anyway,
the other thing is also seeing Mega Man without his helmet was kind of interesting too. Like he's standing there and his hair is just, well, all 3 sprites of it or whatever is waving in the wind, and then the helmet comes on and he takes off. And
it's probably one of the most used scenes in most of the the channels in the internet. They've always got something that leads to the opening of their channel with the Mega Man 2 intro. So
lots of parodies of that for sure.
So yeah, it's had a tremendous impact.
But Taylor hates that one because he likes Mega Man 3. So.
Well, I don't hate the opening for it. I just like 3 more than 2. Hell, I like 4 more than 2. I enjoyed playing 3 and 4 more than I did 2 when I was growing up.
Duh.
I mean, duh.
I'll take 3, but I won't take 4.
Why? 4 is awesome. 4's got some really Dr. Cossacks music.
Much better than 4.
I really love 4.
4.
I don't know.
4 is fine. I don't think it's a bad game. It's much better than the first game, that's for sure. But I would not take 4 over 3 or 2 by any means. But you have to admit, 2's intro is about 500 times better than 3.
I didn't say it wasn't.
I'm just saying intro, not necessarily music. Because Mega Man 3's music
is pretty
is really good, but there's just no intro.
It's just kind of Mega Man 3. Here it is. Let's roll.
So here's Mega Man 3. Enjoy the music.
we know this is gonna work. You guys.
Which is really strange that they took out the intro, but anyways. So anyways, Mega Man 2, the intro with the fantastic building scrolling up. So your turn there, Taylor.
All right. This next one here is for a game that I had played not too horribly long ago, a few months back, and that is Tartarus from Persona 3. And this thing is massive. It is the for the most part. Okay, I played the portable version. For the most part, this is where you're going to be doing you're fighting. You're going to be scaling this thing to find out A, why it's there, B, why it's there, see why it's there, and it's very, 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 very tall. But you can only go through so much of it because how Persona works. You have like a day, you have to do things, go to school, work, whatever, and then you have, if you want to, the option, if possible, to go and kind of scale through it. Now, the building itself is a little, it's kind of repetitive with its dungeons because it's randomly generated.
It's very repetitive, and I've actually had many discussions with other Persona fans about this. Usually doesn't get into a very nice area.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. I didn't mind it. Sure, when if you're going up it. I think if you take it at a good pace, but don't just spend all the time, you're gonna drive yourself bonkers.
That's exactly right. No, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I do agree towards the end it started to show a little bit of flair towards the top of the tower.
Yeah, it little nuances change every so on, but then when it gets closer to the top, it's kind of like, bam, this is different.
Yeah. It kind of had to.
Right.
So.
But I think as you're scaling it, it kind of reflects the pacing of the story, because the story is a bit slow, and you're kind of like, okay, what's going on? You get these little tidbits of, stuff that's going down, and then once you realize what you need to be doing, and kind of the fallout of decisions, or like if you don't do something, really bad shit's gonna happen. So the whole weight of the situation's on your head there. And scaling this thing, it really, really feels it, because you're just like, this thing is so goddamn tall. So, and it's a weird building too, because it looks like somebody just decided to just slop things together. It's like Katamari just rolled something up and plopped it there. But I don't know, because it's so integral to what's going on in 3, and just how 3 kind of pans out. Tartarus is a pretty interesting place, I think. So, yeah, over to you there, Greg's.
I have one similar to Sushi, and I think he knows where I'm going from this. This is probably one of the most blandest looking frickin' buildings in a video game, but it happens to be one of the most popular video games of all time, and it's a very memorable opening to one of the greatest, if not the quintessential fighting game of all time, and that is the building in Street Fighter 2. And it's just that entire opening where the blonde guy just
smokes the other guy. And then the great Mode 7 graphics of the screen, how it spins the title.
And then you got the screen that has the Street Fighter 2 logo that then pops out in front of your face. I like the one where it spins around.
That's one I like, the spinning one.
Hyper fighting.
Hyper fighting with the apostrophe.
And it's such it's awful choice, because it's the most static gray building ever. It's just how it's placed. And at the time, I mean, where I live, there wasn't any skyscrapers where I live, so it's like, oh, this is a big building. But it's just so bland. But it's so memorable. You wouldn't have any other way.
Right. It's such a weird intro too, because it's none of the characters in the game. It's 2 random dudes fighting in a street with a crowd in front of what appears to be a large, somewhat important office building that has a screen that says Street Fighter on it.
Maybe that's Capcom headquarters.
Yeah, could be. But it's just so random.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, so simple but effective.
For sure.
All right, then over to you.
All right. Well, here's a pretty horrible one, and that is the House of the Dead. Now, this is another mansion, sort of in the vein of Taylor's choice there with the Resident Evil series, well, particularly the first game. And House of the Dead is a pretty shitty place. You wouldn't want to be hanging out in the House of the Dead. First of all, you've got bad voice acting again.
It's Sega.
It's Sega, so there's plenty of bad voice acting, and it's got random scientists and doctor-type people that run around in white clothes, just going, "Don't shoot" in slow motion. And stuff. Help me. And my personal favorite is actually from the second game. There's that one fat guy that's running in really slow motion, and a giant like a zombie snake thing eats him, and all he goes is no. My friends are inside. I told them not to go. Like, just anyways, bad voice acting aside, you wouldn't want to be in the House of the Dead. It's just a bad place. I mean, you got this flying bat dude thing that's really annoying. You've got the magician who is the final boss and is quite difficult to beat. You've got a giant spider type. I don't know. It's like a giant tick or something that shoots all kinds of weird things at you, and it's just not a cool place. You'd be dealing with ugly 1995 graphics. The House of the Dead.
Not that it matters. I thought it was like 96 because it was definitely out after
Virtual
Cop. It was definitely out after Virtual Cop. So
okay, Virtual Fighter is what, like 94 or something then? I don't remember.
They're close to 93, so like towards the end.
Okay, ugly 1996 graphics then.
Yeah.
and even worse on the Sega Saturn graphics. So it's, even uglier. But you got some gross zombies coming at you, and throwing barrels. There's like this one Arnold Schwarzenegger shaped dude that throws barrels all the time, like Donkey Kong. I don't know. It's not a cool place.
It's a memorable game. Don't get me wrong.
Sure it is. It's memorable for being just really cheesy and really fun and simple.
That's what it is, and it's cool.
A kind of perfect arcade game in a lot of ways. Just pick up and play and just shoot zombies. Like, nothing to really worry yourself about. Like, oh, do I got to do this or this? Do I got to throw grenades? No, it's just shoot, and that's it.
The most memorable part of that game was the fact that it had a friggin' curtain around it. I think that was 2. It was one of the first games that in Australia. It's one of the first games I ever saw in the arcades to have a curtain around it.
Because of the blood, or?
I think so, and I was one of those curious kids, like, and it's like green blood. I'm like, why is there a curtain?
Green blood? Oh, we at least had red blood in the arcade version.
It might have been red blood, because I know there's one that had green and one that had red, and I'm like,
the Saturn version had green blood, I know, so.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, no, the House of the Dead, it would suck. There is one amazing thing, though, and that is the first boss in that game. And when you fight the first boss, he has a little heart thing, like a little heart area they got to shoot. And when you crack his armor, he's basically like a naked zombie. And he can't do anything. He literally can do nothing but stand there. And you can pick off his flesh, like, slowly. My friend and I think we stood there for like a minute, just like watching him try to come at us. And he's just like, like super slow. You shoot him and he falls back. And that's like, I don't know. There's something so satisfying about beating the crap out of that first boss and just like taking off all of his flesh and just watching him like fall down as just a bag of bones, basically. Yeah. Anyways, the House of the Dead is not a place you'd want to be at. So pretty memorable, at least for me, it was. So.
Yeah, and for me.
So Taylor, what do you got next?
The next one I never played it, so but yeah, the next one I have here is
Zombies House.
Zombies House.
Place.
Yeah,
that's all you.
the
Zombies and houses are never good.
Not a good combo. The next one I have here is the Temple of Time from the Zelda series.
Holy shit! This is where we're going to double up, because not only is that on my list, that was actually going to be my next choice.
Oh, there we go. So I mean, this thing, it came at probably a very overrated Zelda game. I'll say it. Overrated Zelda game. Ocarina of Time.
Nah.
When you have people trying to say that it has the best Hyrule field because of how it was positioned, no. Yeah, stop justifying it for whatever. It's just a Zelda game.
We don't need to justify it.
Well, sounds like you guys need to. The louder you get, the more annoyed I get, and the less I think of the game.
I don't like the game either. So if you like the game, fine, and most people seem to, but I just don't like if you don't like it and people are like, how could you not love this game? It is the perfect game. It's a perfect 10. There's nothing wrong with it.
I'm 28. I don't give a shit what people... It's like, if you don't like it, cool. I'm not going to bust your chops. But I'm one of those people, I do like it. It was just a great time when I played that game. And I knew when I was going to bring it up, I knew I was going to pee you off a little bit, Taylor, but No, I think how it was done, you said before, pre-rendered backgrounds and all that, because
Mhm.
it was slightly pre-rendered, slightly not.
Right.
I just like when you approach it and when the music sort of gets quiet, then you enter the Temple of Time and then the theme of time plays, and it's chanted and it's like, oh, wow, this is really surreal. It's just so well done.
It's actually really well done. The thing is that I I actually the reason why I put it on here is because later Zelda games I think do a much better job of kind of giving this giving the Temple of Time this kind of mystique to it. Wind Waker. I'm not a big fan of Wind Waker either, but
Wind Waker was spellbinding,
holy
was
crap.
done really well.
Like
I mean, that game had stunning cell. Well, I thought so. A lot of people didn't give a shit. I don't care about them. I love the visuals of Wind Waker, and I thought that's where it hit its peak of what it could achieve
it
in terms of visual glory, gloriousness.
mm.
You know, it couldn't go above that because it was just so amazing.
And like the just that scene of when you go in there and you just see everything just kind of frozen at this fixed point in time is just really it does have it's just like holy crap, it is spellbinding. It's just like wow, that is whew kind of thing. For me, my favorite scene from the Temple of Time is actually from Twilight Princess,
Mm.
which it's not even really that big, but it's this when you get there, it's in ruin for for one, and you're just like,
Yeah,
this kind of sucks, you know.
it is.
And,
It brings you down a little bit, but it's sort of it tells the vibe of Twilight Princess. I mean, you already got the vibe when you press start,
mm,
but as a Zelda fan, with everything that connects to each other, it sort of brings you home of how things are in Hyrule.
right,
Yeah.
somebody did not do very well their last time out, kind of.
No.
And and yeah, so it's in ruin, but then when to me it feels like that because you have to unlock it, this kind of this mystery about it, so it gives that little extra kind of exploration to it, you're almost in a way. So then when you do kind of go through it, it's really it's spiffy how it's done. Very, very well done scene, I thought. So so yeah, that was the next one that I put up there, the Temple of Time. So I don't know if you want to go next or you want to shove it back over to Sushi there.
I do have a backup,
Okay.
so there's a lot I have here, and I'll talk about a recent one, and Taylor will no doubt correct me. This is actually based on mainly the architecture of outside and inside, and it's of a game, or I should say games I've been playing recently, and that is the Ark and Cell building, or theater from Zero and Ao no Kiseki. Visually stunning for a PSP game, and just the intricate details that Falcon put to this building, to me, made it stand out more than any other building in Crossbell City. And even when you get inside, it's just it's laid out so well. And of course, you've got the different amphitheaters and everything. It's just done so well, and it's so memorable, and just so nice to look at. But nearly all buildings in Crossbell are so nice to look at because it's just how much detail Falcon put to each building. So
Yeah, and there's kind of a reason why it's kind of trying to tell of this principality that's kind of divorced itself from the Empire and is trying to make a name for itself. And it's like, we are Crossbell. We are, it's trying to kind of give it that, I guess, for lack of a word, patriotism.
yeah,
And,
exactly. It comes across very nice in
yeah.
the visuals, and exactly comes across as you said it then. But just to me, I love I love when they're about to do the stage show and the posters of the dancers. It's just a nice little touch that just makes it even more memorable.
Yeah, it's definitely really good. Both Zero and Ao no Kiseki have scenes in those. I don't know if you've gotten to the one in Ao no Kiseki yet. I don't think so.
Think I'm close.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a thing coming up, but the Zeros plays very similarly to the first Trails game, It kind of has that. It not as in much in depth with what you do. You just kind of watch this kind of thing fold up, and then you're kind of more an observer instead of being a participant in this event. But it's still pretty nifty.
I say to myself, there's no other company that I don't want to say it's RPG JRPG sprite porn because not in the actual sense, but
Yeah,
like
you're gonna have to clarify that.
I mean I'm not saying there's sex involved. I'm talking about like when people watch Fast and the Furious, they call that car porn because of just how the cars, the beautiful cars and all that. But there's not many games that use that miniature RPG sprites. And to me, I think the Kiseki series is the last bastion of showing how amazing you can have these pre-rendered sprites perform all these different moves. And I don't see any other game aside from the Kiseki series doing it.
Until
so
Sen.
when it all goes away.
Sadness.
So yeah, so for all those people, it's like, who wants that old feel with the old, what do you call them? Not chibi or, because I never assumed that because I've played RPG since I was a kid. All the sprites were small, super deformed. This just was normal. And, as time went along, they just sort of, phased them out. And Falcon was like one of the last few to keep it alive and to have these sprites perform all these just majestic moves throughout the series. It's kind of sad, but we'll see what happens. But let's go back to buildings. Over to you, Sushi, to make that happen.
All right. So my next building here, this is from a game I have not played in a long time, and it is from the Genesis or Mega Drive. A very good game that a lot of people might not be aware of, but is very cheap now, not very hard to find. And it is called Ranger X. Do you know this game, Greg or Taylor?
I cannot find anything in my data banks.
All right.
No,
Taylor,
I've never heard of it.
Okay, so Ranger X is just basically this sort of mechanized robot type game where you're like this robot character, and of course you've got to save the Earth. You're the only robot that can do it, and you're this robot type guy, and he's got this little sort of wheelie robot contraption that goes with him. And basically in the game, you have main weapons like a main machine gun and stuff that you can use, but you also have sub weapons. And in the game, to use your sub weapons, the energy goes down, but to replenish the energy, you need light power, typically solar power. So in the game, they use a bunch of different ways to do this. At the start of the game, it's all outside, so you can just kind of keep using the sub-weapons, spamming away on them, no problem. They keep replenishing really quickly because of the sunlight. But like later on, you go into a stage that's underground in a cave, and if you start using sub-weapons, they go down quickly, but there's parts where you can shoot holes in the top of the cave, and then sunlight beams in, and then you can sort of re-energize your cells for your weapons and stuff, which is really cool. And in Ranger X, I haven't played this in a while, but I saw a review of it recently, a pretty good review too on YouTube. And there was a building stage that I forgot about. And in this game, there's a lot of flying as well. And so there's like a flying part where you can fly up in your mech suit. And you're going to run out of solar energy because it's actually at nighttime that you're outside of this building. But you can shoot windows in the building and light comes out of it and you can replenish your energy like that. I know you could argue, oh, well, it's not solar power, but I guess it's light power, light source. Sure, but it's just a cool concept, though, to put into the game to be like, well, look, there's no solar power outside, but technically you can still get power from this light source.
That's pretty intricate thinking for a 16-bit game. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah, it's a really good game. It's one of the later Genesis games. I think the company that made it, it's the only game that they actually made, and it's actually good, too. There's a few scenes, like just cutscenes that use the Vector 3D graphics and stuff, which is kind of neat. They really kind of push the Genesis in a lot of ways. So if you guys can find it, it should be like $5 at the most. It's a super cheap game. And it's actually a really good little shooter game to play. It's pretty cool. But that building, just the concept of the building and shooting the windows and getting the light source power and stuff it's really cool. So the building has no particular name as far as I know, but and I just saw it in the review to remember it even. So that is the building I'm choosing. It was from Ranger X. So, Taylor,
back to my
Carry on.
wayward son.
Kansas.
Yes. So the this one that I have here is the floating castle from Final Fantasy 1. Yeah, this thing. You don't even see it, is the thing. You don't even, there's, little telescope, you can be like, hey, there's the floating castle. Like, you don't even know this thing exists when the first time you play this game, you don't get really an idea of it until in the very latter parts of the game. And then when you do, it's kind of like you get warped there, and then you're like, oh, shit. Everything, like, the music's really weird compared to the other music in the game. And that place is really hard. like the very first time you play through it, if you play the old one, based off of like the D&D magic rules and stuff, you are going to regret playing it at times, because there's lovable war menches, there's Tiamat waiting to destroy you, there are mind flayers to eat your brains. It is not a very fun place. It's painful. However, it's also on the cover of the game. It's in that kind of like crystal orb looking thing, and it has this. And I believe that's supposed to be the connection, is that's the floating castle. So you don't get to see it in the game. You just get to see it in the artwork for the cover of the game, where it has the orb and the axe and the sword kind of crossing over and stuff. So. To me, it was kind of like a really weird point in the game. Well, I don't want to say weird in like a negative way, but it's just very different because, playing this fantasy game, you just, killing ogres and asps and, hill gigas and stuff, and then all of a sudden you run into a robot that was seen as a shooting star in a waterfall, and then you're going to a floating castle, like, Jesus Christ, what's going on, kind of thing. So, always has been a little interesting to me, so... Yeah, floating castle. So, over to you there, Greg.
I'm going to continue the trend. I also have a floating castle, but mine was the opposing force defense for Final Fantasy. Fuck, I gave it away. Yes, it's the air castle from Phantasy Star. Very, very memorable. Of course, it's my first RPG ever played. One of the most memorable scenes where even it's just so good when you... I don't give a shit. Spoilers. It's really good. Give Meow the Laconian nut, turns into this glorious winged beast. You fly up there. You encounter this gold dragon. Looks epic. You beat its ass, and then you fly all the way to the air castle. And it looks so cool on the Master System at the time. It's just so memorable. Then you get to the tower, and it was another 3D dungeon, but you knew at the back of the mind where you were, and it was really good. But what enhanced it even more was Phantasy Star 4.
Oh yeah.
That to me was the height of the fan service, and how you went about trying to finding the arrow prism and all that. That just had high beams on my face for the entire game. It's like, oh my god, this is so cool. And it's kind of like an inside thing that it's a secretive club. It's like, because I played the first Phantasy Star game, this is something I would only know and others like me. So it kind of gave me some self-gratifying. Even at the age of 10, it was just like, oh, this is so cool. And it's just nice. It was great design from Sega, how they went about that. So, I mean, I would definitely say the structure, the image of it, much more memorable in Phantasy Star 4. But that's cool. And of course, it's much more difficult in Phantasy Star 4.
And it needs to have bosses that have pronounceable names there. I mean... God, I can't even. I think it starts with an X. So, that's about as far as my mind goes with it. God.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was like the first time I ever came across sci-fi, and the names were so intricate. So I think that kind of prepped me for life. It's like, oh, this game, book, novel, movie has an intricate name. It's like it doesn't hold a candle to Phantasy Star.
I think Phantasy Star decided to just take a Scrabble bag and pull out a handful of letters and just kind of mix them around for some
highest
of them.
point value. Well, my word has 28 points.
So, but no, that's a really good. Yeah, that's definitely a good one. It's very like if you played, especially with Phantasy Star, it's a lot more into the kind of pseudo sci-fi. I mean, pseudoscience for like given that science fiction kind of vibe and everything. So, and it's done really well. It's really cool how they kind of mix those elements of just fantastical with technological. So,
Yeah. It's also the power play that the main villain would be in a castle versus, reigning over the world that is, full of technology and all that. There's a nice dichotomy.
Right. 4 definitely has a really cool nod to that.
Yeah. So over to you, Sushi.
All right. I have to kind of check down the list here. I don't have terribly much left to present, but a game I am playing right now. Now, this is not actually sort of a building, but it is a structure. And that is in Skies of Arcadia, the city of Valua, or I could be mispronouncing that, but I always say it as Valua. They have a giant defensive wall called the Grand Fortress. And basically, this is the side of a mountain that can turn, and one side is full of cannons, anti-air defense cannons, and it can turn around the other way, and it's just a full solid brick wall again. So basically, what it does is it opens up so that ships can come in and bring in cargo to the main city, and it only opens once a day, and then it closes and it turns around, and then anytime there's any sort of attack, which there never is because no one opposes this kind of all-powerful empire that's got this huge armada, they could defend themselves very easily with this giant wall of cannons. It's a really cool idea to have like sort of one side is pure defense, and then the other side is pure offense. And when the pure offense side is facing towards the city, maybe they could reduce the range of the cannons, and say if a ship was trying to escape, they could just bombard the ship from the inside and destroy it. And if there's ships on the outside, that the thing can turn and attack. The only thing is that it's incredibly slow as it's turning. When I say incredibly slow, like it takes like 5 minutes for it to turn all the way around, which would be enough time for a ship to escape through. And that does happen. And that does happen in the game. So, so that's sort of like the little kink that it has, like that sort of keeps it from being like completely perfect, but a really cool concept to have this defensive and offensive type weapon wall thing that protects a city. A city full of pompous asses and stuff that deserves to be destroyed, but that's to be for another topic. So, and it does have a poor end of the city. It's a really cool city, in just the dichotomy of here's the extremely poor and here's the high bureaucrats, the high level people that live on the other side of the city, and they block out the poor homeless people and stuff. It's really, really neat. So yeah, the Grand Fortress of the walled city of Valua. So Taylor, what do you got? Anything left there?
I have a
tapped out
couple, but I think probably be good to just kind of rattle off the last couple that we might have.
That's
sure.
what I'm gonna do.
Okay. All right. Last couple that I have here. One is the tower from Lost in Shadow, which is kind of weird because you're half the time you're not even paying attention to what's going on, because you're more fixated to the shadows that are being casted by all the different things that are going on, or all the different things that are jutted out. So, but it's cool because it has its own like residential area kind of thing. That in itself is kind of really nifty. It has these little buildings and stuff, and it has the architectural design kind of reminiscent of Eco. Yeah. Or Ico, I mean, but yeah, and that's why. And it's a huge tower, like really, 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 really big. Lots of shadow spiders. Stab, stab. So that one, as well as Lulu Castle from the last story, because it is a giant fucking castle, and I mean, because it's still it's been out for a year now.
Well, you talk about the entire time since Japan?
No, since North American release.
Something like that.
About a year for the North American release.
Yeah.
So, but I'll still bite my tongue on it. But there are a lot of cool, nifty things with it that kind of come out throughout the progression of the game and stuff. And big, big, big castle. I mean, I just really like the castle. I thought it was cool design and how some of the elements of it kind of pop up for story progression. Like, oh, that's kind of, I mean, that's not anything like super duper new, but yeah, that's kind of cool. So, those two, as well as this is kind of cheating, I would say, for this one. It's kind of a location, but that is the base on Shadow Moses.
Yeah. Yes, and that was the most difficult one I had on my list too. You kind of say yes, you kind of say no because it's so big. You know.
Well, I mean, it's a
feels like,
base though. It's not like it's
yeah.
kind of like it's a sum of its parts kind of thing. It's not just like, oh, here's this one building kind of thing. So, but
Yeah.
that place, that fucking place, such wonderful memories. Such an amazing, amazing place.
And when you think it can't get more amazing, you get to Rex's hangar and just like, oh man.
Yeah.
I love that theme in Rex's hangar. It's just, it really ties it well.
Yeah, it's a really good. It's really just a very interesting, especially when you would play for the first time. Very interesting kind of setup for it, or layout for the area, and you're just like, oh, this actually works. This is cool. This is nifty. That's why it did so well, kind of thing. And even though it's very drab in its color scheme, it's still serves a very good reminder that, even though it doesn't have this vast array of colors and stuff, that it still can be kind of like boom.
You do, but then you do appreciate when there is.
Exactly.
Like when you get to Otacon's work desk and he's got like the posters, depending on what version of Metal Gear you're playing.
Right.
Like one will have the Police North poster, the other one will have the Zone of the Enders poster, and just all that. Just really cool.
Yeah, to the office room where you fight Psycho Mantis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more kind of goldish looking. I mean, when you have the lava pit.
Yeah.
So just yeah. So yeah, Shadow Man. Those are my last ones. So over to you, Greg.
Okay, just to quickly talk about the last ones. Aesthetically, the most interesting design of a building, I would have to say Balam Garden from Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh.
Very bizarre design. I can't remember anything that looked like it. Very cool. The structure, of course, was very cool. It was your typical university inside, but just looking from it from the outside, I'm just like, that's some intricate design that really, really stood out. But that's kind of a recurring thing in Final Fantasy VIII. Whoever worked on the design for those buildings had a very interesting thought process. They just put it that way, and I applaud them for it. However, quickly, the Mikado building, the most intricately, the Crystal Dome from the Bouncer. Of course, Square Enix and what was the other company they worked with that made the Bouncer? Oh shit, I forgot. Anyway, they poured all their money into making this the most graphically astounding game on the PS2 for its time, and I kind of agree it was, and I really liked that crystal building, the Mikado building, the Crystal Dome. It just looked really, really cool back when I played it. A couple, I will say, some of the most memorable structures from Shining Force 2 include Grand's Tower, but it wasn't just the fact it was a tower. I loved the mythology and history behind Grand's Tower, that the town was made to keep everything in check, and everything that happens, centralized around the tower. Very memorable. The other one of the most other memorable, of course, is the Volcanian Shrine, how it's located, and that nod to Greek mythology, and that ties with Metalula's Shrine in Tristan later on in the game. That looked really astounding, especially with the music, the garden, and everything. Even for a 60-minute game, it just had a great visual sense. Whew. Speaking of the Genesis, the Mega Drive, one of the most memorable towers, of course, is Mir's Tower. That's not just because of the design on the outside, it's because a lot of interesting shit happens in the inside. Not all too nice, but I thought to myself it's very memorable in the integral structure and just all the puzzles and all its frustratingly gloriousness. So yeah, Mir's Tower. And of course, I should say the second last one, probably one of the most coolest looking final dungeons in the last couple of years, and that is Prison Island from Xenoblade. You talk about the 13 Towers being ominous. This thing is ominous. You get a tease of it halfway through the game, but then you get to see it, unleashed in the end, and I just love the final dungeon of Xenoblade. It hits all the marks. It's done really well. And the last one, I will definitely say the most memorable structure for me, that I have the most memories, and it's very simple, but it is so effective. And that is the North Window Castle, aka the new state headquarters from Suikoden 2. The amount of times I've traveled back and forth from that place is too many to count. And that's why it's probably my most memorable structure in a video game. And it's set up like a town, but it's also set up like a home, if you can understand that sort of thought process, where it divides the line. It doesn't feel like you're in control of a town. It feels like you're in control of just different houses that houses your army that, you're kind of getting attached to. So, I don't know, it's done really well, and how they went about that. So, that is me done. So, over to you, Sushi.
All right. Well, I've only got a few left myself. The first one is, what is that, Dharma Temple or whatever from Dragon Quest, where you get to change classes for the first time.
Yeah.
And I think the first one is Dragon Quest 3?
3.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking it's All Trades Abbey.
I think it has two different names. I think that certain games named it one way, and then they've also named it another thing in other games, if I read correctly.
I think
I think in 3 and 7 it's Dharma, and then it's changed to the Abbey in 9 and something else or something. I don't know why, but maybe some sort of translation issue or something. But
it's definitely 6 and 9's All Trade Abbey. So.
All right. Well, then it was just basically a big temple, kind of empty for a big temple, to be honest, but very integral to the story. I mean, you can't really move forward without it. So.
No.
So that one's on there for sure. I had Splatterhouse, again, another sort of horrible place that you wouldn't want to be in, with all kinds of slimy, gooey monsters and flying arms and all kinds of weird stuff coming at you. Splatterhouse is pretty memorable and disgusting at the same time. And I also had Lunar with the Grindery, which is sort of like a building that's like a tank, sort of, as well. So... it's kind of on that feel of sort of what I had with the Skies as well. The Grindery is basically just like a big, giant, magical tank tower that crushes anything in its path, essentially. So I had that one as well. And 2 left. That is the wall building thing from Contra. That classic, I don't even know what to call it. It's just like the wall building thing that's just so fun to destroy. It's usually the first boss on a handful of Contra games. I think the first Contra game has it. Contra 4 has it. Contra, or I guess it wasn't called Contra, but Hardcore Uprising had it. Do you guys know which one I'm talking about? Just that stupid building. There's always one guy at the top.
It's just you shoot the red center thing?
Shoot the red orb thing, yeah. But you always destroy all the other stuff first and then wait so that it can't defend itself, and then you just shoot that orb thing at the end. Contra Rebirth had it as well. I always thought that thing was it's such a goofy idea to have as a classic quote-unquote villain for a game, is a giant defensive wall that can't defend itself.
It's a pretty shitty design when you have the button for it right there in the front.
Right, when the big target's right in the middle, and it's there's one guy at the top shooting one bullet at you, and then two cannons that can only shoot 3 feet in front of themselves.
Water balloons at you.
Right, red water balloons that they can't even drop at your feet. They do upgrade the thing later on where it gets a big laser and stuff, but I'll always love that one, the Contra wall. And Panzer Dragoon series has a series of towers, and these things are quite unique. They kind of look a bit like a design of some of the sort of things that you see in Zone of the Enders. So it's weird because Panzer world is set sort of in this old age sort of thing, and in very desolate areas, but these buildings are sort of stand out like sore thumbs, and they have all this sort of energy pulsating out of them. I don't want to go too much into the details of them, especially for Taylor, because if he gets a chance to play Saga, he'll get to learn more about them.
Dun, dun, dun.
But not to cut you out, Greg, but I just know how expensive it is for you to find. So
Oh yeah.
Taylor can find it for a reasonable price if he finds it. So.
I do own the Japanese version, just I cannot play it because
that's right. They locked that one out. So
yeah,
it's a game that's locked out, which is really weird. But
good job, Sega.
They,
makes no sense to lock one game but don't lock another.
It doesn't, especially when they only pumped out a handful in each region. So, but anyways, it's beside the point. So the towers in that, very ominous, very strange. Their function, I don't want to ruin it, but it is very unique, very, very unique, very strange sort of setup for them, but really cool. If you play the games and you figure out what they're supposed to serve for, really neat. And the last one is in the game Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, all of the buildings that you can pick up and throw at the other monsters.
Oh,
that is amazing. So,
building throw.
Those are the final buildings.
That's pretty fun.
They don't do too much damage, but you can throw them, and then like if one of the monsters tries to do like a laser breath or something, you can avoid it by throwing a building and knocking them back and stuff. And super fun game, so fun. Very frustrating when playing single player, but super fun to play with a friend. It's just like basically like a wrestling game in a city with giant lizards and creatures and stuff. So that's the last building from me.
Yeah.
I was I had my list here, but as I was thinking through my head of experiences, I do have one more that really stands out as a very memorable experience for me for building. One of my favorite games of all time that got me into video games is Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap, and how they lay out the final dungeon to you is done so remarkably well for an 8-bit game, because it's a puzzle to find the entrance to the final dungeon, and then I think they probably used the best textures and colors they possibly can for this one scene that leads to the front door of the last castle. And it's like the starry moonlit sky, and there's like a really intricate fence for a Master System game. And the castle's got this luminous sort of pinkish orange sort of hue to it. And it was so colorful for its time. And the music sort of backs it up as well. I think it's like 10 seconds, and it's just like some of the best 10 seconds in the game before you go into the final dungeon, and it's just really memorable. Have any of you actually played Wonder Boy 3 yet?
Not 3. I mean, I played the first game and bits of other stuff, but not 3.
That's actually the very first, I hate saying this word, Metroidvania game I ever played, and sort of refined my taste in video games at a very early age, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. I know it's strange to get. I know in Japan you can get the Monster World collection. That's the best way to get it. And of course in America, I can't remember if there's actually.
I think it's on the PSN. I think it is.
Yeah. Well, I know. The PC Engine substitute which is Dragon's Curse. Not too bad. I mean, I would say if there's no other way of playing Wonder Boy 3, definitely go get Dragon's Curse. But I love that game so much.
No, we totally forgot about the building that the guy from Zelda 2, I Am Error, lives in.
Dun, 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 dun,
I hate that stupid.
Have
I
you
hate that
have
city theme. I Am Error.
There is a legendary video that's been on the internet called "This Is My House." If you have some time, watch it and be utterly annoyed. It's so glorious.
No thanks. No, thanks. I'd rather just stick with I Am Error. All right. Well, I guess that wraps up the buildings then.
Yeah, it does. If you guys out there listening have any others that you can think of, or you're like, wow, you totally forgot this, you bunch of slags, totally let us know.
You uncultured swine.
Yes. You heathen.
Yes, I was about to say that. This is on Pararon Podcast. We work on the same brave brain length wave, and mine's not working. So,
but yeah, definitely let us know what kind of buildings that you kind of think of when you, I don't know, for games, because I don't know, it just doesn't really can't seem to come up as much. So yeah,
Right, it really doesn't. So leave us a comment about buildings
do it,
and how much you hate them or love them or
Or,
don't care about them.
yeah, I mean,
Or how you want to break them and throw them at other giant monsters.
so yeah, that is that.
Okay, guys, this is usually a part where I stay behind to do a game with Sushi and Taylor, but unfortunately I have to bail out for this episode because I've got some pretty important things to do the following day. So I just want to quickly say to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing any comments on your favorite video game buildings, and take the time to say thank you to my glorious co-hosts and enjoy the game you're about to have.
All right. Thanks, Greg, for sticking by for the buildings, man. You had some good ones up there.
Thanks, man.
All
right.
Catch you later there, Griggs.
Peace out.
Right, bye.
See ya.
Okay.
All right.
So
you want to do a game or
sure,
a comedy?
let's do a
game is better? Or?
I'm not very funny, so...
All right. Well, I don't think I'm particularly funny either, but...
So, yeah, let's do a game.
Sure. Why don't you draw it up there and see what we got?
I got it up. I have allegedly 28 here, so... But I see one in particular that would be very nice to go for.
All right. Is it going to be really challenging? Or?
No, but I think it's a good one for the both of us.
Okay.
And that's the ABC listing titles.
ABC listing titles.
So, like, you list the, if one of us starts, the other one has to go and list the next one of the next, like, alphabet. So if I say something with an A, you have to see one with a B, and C, D.
No, okay, so game, we've played this years ago,
Did
seems
we?
like now.
I
We've definitely played this for a long time. Actually, you know what? I know we've played this because I played it with Rob Man.
Oh, that's right. Well, then, fuck, we won't do that one. Okay, all right, okay. I obviously, I am a jackass and can't even remember my own show. So, but, so I guess pick a number 1 through 28.
Through 28? All right. I think I usually typically pick a high number, so why don't we try number 16?
Number
Let's try that.
16. That's racing games. Vroom, vroom.
Okay. This might be a little hard, actually, but okay.
Yeah, it's going to be. All right, so do you want me to start off, or?
I'll go ahead, if you would like to, sir.
All right. All right, and here we go. Daytona, USA.
Well, I'll go with your favorite, Sega Rally Championship Edition.
Nice. Top,
Game.
yeah. Top Gear Rally.
Oh, nice. I love Top Gear. How about F-Zero? Is that going to count?
Yeah. Mario Kart. Mario Kart.
Yeah. Crash Team Racing?
Oh, okay. Good. Gran Turismo.
Yeah, that's pretty up there. Need for Speed?
Oh, wait. Yeah. Never mind. Derp. Rockman Battle and Chase. Vroom vroom.
Mm-hmm. Burnout?
Oh, okay. Good. Chocobo Racing.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Driver? I don't know if is Driver really a racing game, or
I
is
have no idea what Driver is.
That might be like a sandbox game. I don't know necessarily that's like driving the laps around the. Okay, let's not use that one because that might not be like a. That might be like a pseudo sandbox type game. Okay. So maybe that's not maybe that might not be a fair one. So I will say Test Drive Le Mans.
Bill Elliott's Racing.
The hell is Bill Elliott's Racing?
It's like the NASCAR. Bill Elliott's NASCAR Racing. It's an NES game.
Oh, okay. Bill Elliott's Racing. Jeez. I have no idea what that is, but okay. I will counter that with Mario Andretti Racing on the Genesis. which is a real game, and I actually own it. I think I paid $1 for it.
Hey, the Bill Elliott one's real. Back off.
I don't know who Bill Elliott is.
He's from NASCAR. He was.
Okay,
He
I don't
drove
mean
the
it.
McDonald's car or something.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Against the Eliminator or Richard Perry or whatever that guy's name was.
Yeah, whatever. Something.
Fair enough. They're both goofball. So.
So my go, and I am totally drawing a blank. I don't do racers. Fuck.
I don't really either, but I've got a couple still.
I'm not. I think that's it. Yeah, I'll tap myself out. I've been trying to be good with it. I'll tap out.
Fair enough. After Bill Elliott.
Hey, fuck off! It's a real game.
No. I just think it's funny that that's your last one. Like when there's probably like plenty of other major racing franchises that we're not hitting, but Bill Elliott.
Hey, that one comes up. Yeah.
Uniracers.
I don't know what that is.
It's unicycle racing. You laugh, but it's actually fun.
Oh, there's all those goddamn micro machine racers. Son of a bitch.
Micro machines off-road.
Oh, yeah, ATV. God damn it.
ATV.
I like the mountain one, the mountain down descent one. The
it's
bikes. It's like the mountain biking.
Just a BMX or something, right? Is Tony Hawk sort of racing? Not really, right?
I would like to see a racing skateboarding game. That would be...
There isn't, right?
That would be...
There isn't, though, is there?
No, not that I'm aware of. I guess theoretically you could add the Olympic Games because there is racing if you want to be
bobsledding. Banana bobsledding. Yeah, you could. There's Sega GT.
Yeah.
That was one. Rally Sport Challenge, pretty famous one.
I don't remember.
We're forgetting about Project Gotham Racing.
I never.
Pretty popular one as well. I played like a couple of them, but they're very popular. Jet Moto.
Ah, yeah, Jet Moto. I forgot about Jet Moto and Wave Racer. Son of a...
Wave Race. Yeah,
Wave Race, yeah. Wave Racer. Wave Race.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously plenty of other ones. I'm not hitting too many off the top of my head now either, but... Oh, Outrun. Jeez, Outrun.
What's out?
Hang On.
I've never played Outrun.
Yeah, Outrun. And
Road Rash.
Yeah, Road Rash is definitely racing.
I swear, I
kind of off the wall racing.
Do not think it's this game's fault, and I try to be good about time.
No, you were fair. There's Colin McRae, like 2003, and then I think that evolved into the Dirt series. Dirt, which is rally racing.
No idea about that one.
I think it evolved into the Dirt franchise. Because Colin McRae I think he died actually during a race, and so I think they ended up taking his name off of the franchise, just like maybe out of respect for him or something, or maybe he had already been off just before that, but he was kind of a famous racer for a while there. I'm sure there's a few other like legitimate car racers. I know there was like just NASCAR 2005, I think, on like the EA brand. I think they just called theirs, I think, NASCAR. I think for a while.
I wouldn't be surprised.
There's like that one F1 simulator, like very simulator style. So I don't know if there's any drag racing games. I don't know if there's any of those.
I wonder how that would work.
I don't know. I don't think there really are any. So.
Diddy Kong Racing. I almost forgot Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, Diddy Kong. Never played that.
It's interesting. A little long, but interesting.
Well, yeah, there are plenty of racing games. So we've obviously missed some for sure. So if you've got a famous or very liked or loved racing franchise, please bring it up to us. I actually do have interest in racing games. I just don't play them very
What's
often.
the Sega character one? The one with Sonic and stuff. What's that one?
Sonic All-Star Racing.
Okay, there you go.
I've never played that.
Yeah, nor have I.
Looks interesting. Looks decent enough. I heard it's a pretty good Mario Kart type clone. So there was a Konami one for a while. Do you remember that one? There was like Konami Crazy Kart Racers or something.
Nope.
Oh, Wacky Races on the Dreamcast. Forgot about that. And there was like Cave BC Racers or something like that, like on the PC.
BC Racer.
I'm serious. It was like
That's amazing.
Caveman Races or something.
Before the wheel, there was the
man,
race.
But no, it was with the wheel.
Well, I know, but it would have been clever.
But it was like with the stone wheels, like the Flintstones kind of thing. It was super goofy. I think I remember playing it on like an old 486 computer, and it wasn't even supposed to run on that thing. So it would like start the game, no problem. It would start the race, and the light would go green, and it would start to move, and then it would instantly like just chug, like just do it, like barely move. It wasn't supposed to work on this computer at all. So, but pretty awesome. So yeah, we've definitely missed plenty of other racing games. Oh, Excite Bike.
That was the one. That was another one I was trying to think of.
Excite Bike.
Hoop.
It's a good one. That was on the N64. I remember they made a remake of that.
There's an Excite Trucks, kind of like a delineation.
There's Excite Trucks on the Wii as well, and there was something Excite Racers or something similar, like sort of spun out of that as well. No, there's that 18-wheeler truck game by Sega.
What?
Oh, it was amazing. It was an arcade game that had like the giant 18-wheeler rigged wheel.
Oh my god!
So it was amazing. You said this giant thing turning that giant wheel. It was awesome. I'm serious. It was awesome. It was an awesome game.
Sounds crazy.
You could play 2 players. Like it was great because it was so big.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Now you got Daytona. That's a good one. So.
Yeah.
Oh, there was Sega. Sega had an F1 race game.
What's the one?
I think it was just called F1 Race, and it had 8 players. Like in the arcade, it was huge. It was an awesome game too. It was really fun. Really cool.
There's another one. I never
Virtual
played
Racing.
it. What was it? San Francisco Rush. Was that?
Yeah,
one?
the Rush series. Yeah, there's that one. There was this really crappy one that came out in like the mid 2000s by Taito, I think it was. And it was trying to be... There was a Fast and the Furious arcade game, actually. Now I think oh, you know what we're forgetting? What's that famous arcade series? The Initial D.
Oh, yeah, Initial D. Shit.
Totally forgot about Initial D.
Got some awesome music. Yeah. Awesome.
Gonna get you like a space boy.
Don't stop the music.
Yeah, there's plenty of other racing games. Plenty of arcade ones. Manx TT.
I don't have any idea what
That's an old Sega, what's it called? Sega motorcycle game. Like you sat on the motorcycle and drove.
Okay. All right.
And based on the Isle of Man race.
Okay.
So there's that one. There's the other ones we're missing for sure. So
yeah.
So please, if you have more Stunt Race FX.
As we keep on listing more and more.
Yeah, as we keep listing them, we should stop listing them now. This game's over.
Goodness.
But please, if there are some other ones, send them our way because I would like to hear them, and maybe we can check them out. Sonic R. That was that stupid Sonic racing game.
Oh, it's different from...
It was weird. It was actually like a legitimate racing game.
Like him running on his feet kind of thing, or...
Him running on his feet, running against the other Sonic characters.
Isn't that
like to get first place, second place, third place?
Fair, unless they're using cars or something.
I don't know. Tails was in it. Knuckles is. I don't know. Yeah. Just how the way they nerf Sonic in like those.
Does he have to like hold weights or something? Or
no, well, just like how they make him supposedly not as fast in those Olympic games, right? Where it's like Mario
tweak a hammy or something.
No. I don't know. Steps. He's got a rock in his shoe. I don't know. So.
All right. Yes. So that is that. So building/structures and a racing game. Vroom vroom. So that is it, guys. Thanks for listening and have a good day.